Okay, so I'm gonna kind of just talk about two different matches, or two parts of two different matches, but one guy in particular. Name is Stefan Fegerl. I know how to speak German, I still don't know how to say his name. But you've probably never heard of him because he's not that good, but he plays really funny. And I think it's good to talk about him. So, okay, so the first match I'm going to talk about is, so one time, like in 2015, this guy beat Zhang Jike. And it's not because he's better than Zhang Jike, because he's not. But Zhang Jike, I feel like half the time doesn't really try that much. And I think he was kind of injured at this point in time. And the reason, and this guy, so Stefan plays super, super awkwardly. He has really, really good blocks. And you never really know if he's gonna like block it super soft, super wide, or like maybe try to even loop it at some point. It's crazy. So I just want to watch like starting at 10-10, 3-2. Yeah, so like that point, like it started off with a chop block, and then you had like these three successive really soft blocks, and like Zhang Jike's like standing away from the table and like has to hit these really strong loops, and he has to hit like 4-5 really strong loops in a row just to like win the point. And so if you're forcing your opponent like to hit 4 or 5 strong loops in a row just to win the point, every point, you're gonna win a lot. Like you're gonna win a lot. One of my first coaches like always emphasized to me, like if you can hit like 3 loops in a row or something, that like good loops, like if you're a 2200, you can hit 3 2200 loops in a row, or you can block like 3 2200 level loops in a row, then you're not going to be 2200 anymore. You're going to be like 23 or 2400, because like most ping pong points don't last that long because it's hard to be that consistent. So this guy just is extremely good at blocking and very consistent, and makes it very tough for Zhang Jike.
And it's still
Yes, sir.
Yeah, his serve is also questionable. That helps too. He gets some luck here, but he's just like, and like, he looks so funny when he plays too. He looks like, it's like, yeah, but so like Zhang Jike does really well at this point, like, but he really has to like, it's really hard for him to win this point, because like,
and they've given him the
like he gets these really awkward blocks back on the table, super wide, and makes Zhang Jike like go all the way to the side and hit a really good forehand just to win the point. So when Zhang Jike's not playing his best, he's gonna lose more points than he's gonna win.
several successful blocks. There it is.
Yeah, and he gets another edge here too. So he's getting super lucky too, but this last point too is a great example. So he starts off with like a super slow block, like this super like touch shot that's like lands really close to the net, and then Zhang Jike's a little bit too far back, so he loops like a higher spinnier one, and then he punches that one really hard. So it's just this like change of pace that makes it really difficult for Zhang Jike. So it's like here, touch, and then punch, and then he wins. And like he pretty much didn't loop the entire match. He just blocked a lot, and it looks horrible, but it gets the job done. So blocking's super important. But the next match I want to talk about is, so this is later. He's playing Timo Boll here in the German league, And so Timo is like very different from Zhang Jike, right? Zhang Jike likes to play with a lot of power, maybe step back a little bit with the forehand, and Stefan Figueroa can kind of like use that power and redirect it really well. But Timo Boll doesn't play with a lot of power, he plays with a lot of speed. So he doesn't give like Stefan any time to doesn't give him power to work with to redirect, first of all, and he also doesn't give him time to place his shots exactly where he wants to. So this point is a really good example of how to beat someone like Stefan Figueroa. I mean, also Timo Boll is just the most consistent player in the world, so I don't see how he would ever lose to Figueroa, but here is really good. Yeah, so in that point, Timo is the one that's forcing Figueroa back. Figueroa hits a few good blocks, but Timo stays really close to the table and just forces him back the entire point. Whereas when Figueroa was playing Zhang Jike was the one kind of taking a step back, and Figueroa was able to kind of redirect his power a lot.
What country is this guy from?
This guy's from Austria.
Mm.
Yeah, there's just a few good points in this match. Yeah, so occasionally Figueroa does loop, but it's only after he hits a really good block. So in this point, he blocks it super wide at Timo, and then he gets ready to rip a forehand, because he knows that he hit such a good block that there's no way Timo's loop is going to be good. So he hits the block and he immediately steps around. Yeah. And then I was just gonna show you a couple of good points, because I've been shit talking him a lot, but he's actually pretty good at ping pong. So this next point is just pretty impressive. Yeah, so I don't know, the other thing, he's backing up, coming back, you can see the footwork a lot in that point, but also a couple times he switched from looping to blocking, which is really awkward for your opponent. If you can be good at going from blocking to looping and looping to blocking, it makes the timing for your opponent so much more difficult. So he comes back into the table, he's doing these really heavy topspins from far away, and then he comes back and he'll do a really fast block. And it's just super awkward for Timo.
Oh, great rally.
Yeah, that was just a really good rally. I don't really have anything to say about that. But sometimes he does loop, and it's pretty good. So I guess the point is blocking is super important. So it doesn't matter how you win the point, just win the point. Be consistent. And a lot of people focus a ton on their loops, but I would argue that blocking is I have a friend who's from back in North Carolina who's probably around 2,400, and most of the people he beats that are 24, 2,500, he beats them because he just blocks really well, and they're not ready. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that.
Awesome.
Any questions, I guess? Comments? How many people had heard of this guy before?
I had not.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
only us. I met him in Beijing. Yeah, because he trains there sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's funny to watch. I recommend it.
He played at the Werner Schlager Academy for many years, so I used to go there like a couple times.
In Austria, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, I really agree with what Michael said about blocking being really important, probably just as important as looping. I remember first hearing this from Kunal's dad, actually, it was just like Kunal has a good block and also Canuck has a good block, and there are like two people I think of when we talk about good blocks, solid blocks. So yeah.
Yeah, and you have to. I really like how like he switches up the pace of his blocks. He like blocks super wide, blocks super soft, and then he'll just like punch one really fast. It's just like all about making your opponent awkward when they're trying to loop the ball.